When do you think you'll get married? Everybody asked when we got engaged. Christmas, we said, a festive wedding during that lull before New Year. Terrible time, said my mother. You can't be asking people to drive through ice and snow. A dreadful imposition. They may not even come at all. So we booked the 28th of December. I shrugged off Mum's dark mutterings. Her family was prone to gloom. Never fear, I said. When does it ever snow that much in Ireland? Well, that provoked the weather gods. We'll show you, they said, the bastards. This was the winter of 2010. Snow fell in relentless drifts, and the city slowed to a snarled up standstill. Even breathing felt like a chore, my lungs unused to the savage bite in the air. In my head, I had seen roaring fires, sparkling dresses, and steaming mulled wine. Now I feared icy roads, ambulances, and pneumonia. Travellers languished in all major airports. My mother had to try hard to avoid saying, I told you so. I held my breath and prayed for global warming to kick in. On Christmas Eve, my bridesmaid booked me a treat at the beauty salon. Don't flush the toilet, they said by way of greeting as we arrived. All the pipes are frozen and we can't turn on the boiler. We sat with blankets slung around our shoulders like Russian babushkas while they manicured our nails to the hum of blow heaters. In hindsight, we should have cancelled the massage in a freezing room upstairs. My hands might feel a bit cold, warned the therapist, as I jumped 3 feet when she placed her icy palms on my shoulders. We left tenser than when we'd gone in, but at least our nails were done. Feeling anxious, I rang the hotel and a cheery voice reassured us that they had running water and heating, so we were all good. I exhaled. It might, after all, be all right. One by one, our guests arrived from abroad. Robert from Montreal was staying with us. His flight had been rerouted to Dublin and he'd been bussed up to Belfast, jet lagged and frozen. A few whiskies cheered him initially, but when he woke at noon on Christmas Day, he wasn't in the form for the artisan sausages I'd bought at the Continental Market. I've got the flu, he grumbled, emitting loud, trumpeting sneezes. Why the hell did you have to get married in the depth of winter? He moaned. I've just come from one frozen shithole to another. We had a pared down Christmas dinner since my mother was obsessed by Operation Wedding Cake. My parents never swore or took the Lord's name in vain. Occasionally, Dad said, damn it, but when I dropped a clanger, it was Mum who was the most disapproving. Language of the gutter, Helen. So when I heard a series of shits coming from the kitchen, I feared for the worst. The bad thing about making a cake at Christmas is that when it breaks in half, you can't depend on your local co-op having baking powder to make another. My mother had never, in a lifetime of baking, run out of baking powder, but since everything else was going tits up, this did too. My fiance came down to spend Boxing Day. The mood was dismal, with cake-related crises and flu-ridden guests. Just as in Bethlehem, there wasn't much room, and he certainly wasn't going to be sharing my bed. We weren't that sort of a family. The poor crater spent the night in the Baltic front room, the wind swishing down the chimney, and my brother coming in, a bit pissed, and sitting on him at 2 a.m. We arrived at the hotel the night before the wedding so I could wake up at the venue, relaxed and stress-free. I imagined swishing into the hotel in my new coat and sipping a glass of something chilled with twinkly lights in the background. Hello, I'm the bride, ready for tomorrow, I told the frazzled receptionist at check-in. Oh, right, she said. You're the other wedding. Everywhere there were small, stampeding children, like errant elves, running amok while their parents looked on, oblivious. These children seemed magnetically drawn to us for the rest of the evening. Their parents looked as though they'd hit the bottle on Christmas of 2003 and hadn't stopped. I sought refuge in the Sauvignon Blanc at the table. Can't hear a bloody thing, said Robert. He got quite bitten too. In short, it was all quite fraught. The snow had stopped, but a thick fog and miserly rain descended on the day itself. I'd hoped to have a jog before breakfast. "You'll not be heading out in that," said my mother, "if you don't want to end up in the Royal." The hairdresser arrived, earlier than expected. It was 9:45. I wasn't due to get married until 2:30. "That road is dangerous. Ring your guests and warn them. You don't want anyone killed on the way here," she said. No, I certainly didn't. For a person prone to anxiety, this sparked a deep fear within. I sat texting away while she curled my hair. "Take care in the corner, mind the fog," until a pal put an end to it, ringing to say that they were grown-ups and they could navigate their way safely. "And remember," she said, "it's your flipping wedding day." I was ready by 11:30. That left 3 long hours to sit about and wonder what else could go wrong. I opened a bottle of champagne and texted my husband-to-be, but there was no answer. I drank some more. Then the photographers arrived. "Have you seen the groom? We can't find him anywhere," they said. "Oh, fuck," I said. "Helen," said my mother. I imagined the wee Nissan Micra, which he'd only just learnt to drive, upturned on the road on the way to the hotel. I saw the headlines. "Bridegroom in pile-up on frosty country lane because selfish fiancé wanted a Christmas wedding." I sent my bridesmaid on a recce, and she returned to say that Stevie had woken to no heating that morning and had to shower to friends. He'd arrived some time ago and was now chatting to the vicar. When I finally walked up the aisle, tears tripping me from excess bubbly and relief, he was looking rock star handsome with his black hair teased into curls. The service itself gives me goosebumps to this day. "You're gorgeous, so we are," I slurred. "Let me fetch you a drink," he asked when we'd done the lineup. "Please don't," I replied. "I'm already quite drunk." But I can now tell you that champagne doesn't quell your nerves and only made me less able to tolerate the other wedding, whose inebriated guest, Stevie, at one point had to bounce off the dance floor. The band was late, the meat was tough, and at one point the electricity cut out. However, if I was having a bad day, the other bride was having a worse one. I may have been drunk, but at least I wasn't pregnant. Friends later saw her in the toilets having the most ferocious row with her mother. Aunties piled in to offer advice and pour themselves large vodkas from the bottles in their handbags. "I could write a play about this," said one of my friends, all delighted. "It could be called Stories from Around the Cistern." All in all, it may have been one of the most strained experiences of my life. My wedding turned into a holiday special of EastEnders or Shameless. I dreamt of renewing our vows in the Maldives, but even that's been marred by tales of human rights abuses and our very own crooked MPs. However, Stevie and I celebrate our 10th anniversary this year. We don't need another ceremony to celebrate our union, and since Christmas is a time of miracles, we rejoice in the fact that we found each other at all in this, the most topsy-turvy of worlds. That's it.
Thank you very much, Helen. I wonder sometimes why people ever bother getting married. I did, excuse me, I thought the best thing about lockdown was when they restricted the number of guests to 6 people at a wedding. And I thought was, I'm ringing my daughter and say, "Do it now. Leave me a fortune."
Oh, I'm sorry. I cracked up in the middle. I could hear the dog drinking.
Yes. Your husband, Stevie, I know, is very handy. There he is. Not only tech support, but also animal handler.
Animal wrangler, yep, that's it.
And here I brought a photo. I thought I would do a Richard O'Leary.
Oh, can you bring it a bit closer?
Yeah, which one? I don't know. I'm sitting in front of 3.
Oh, that's fine. Look at you.
Oh, the green light. Oh, sorry, that one. I'm not very technical.
That's okay. Well, the years have been very kind to you both.
Oh, there's the two.
Look at. Have you kept your wedding dress? Are you one of those women who dresses up in the wedding dress every now and again?
Yeah, I nearly put it on tonight, but I only just got it dry cleaned, and I thought I'd probably spill something else down it. So I do have it in the the room. But I did put some sparkles on.
Oh yes, very nice. Yes, lovely.
Only
Um,
pretty nice.
thank you very much, Helen.
It's a
It's always
pleasure.
a pleasure. And now you can enjoy a glass of bubbly while the rest of us carry on.